Are we as Muslims racist because our deen teaches us to be racist? And the answer is definitely no. The question now comes, are we racist? The paradigm that a person believes in about life is what makes you either a racist or a non-racist. People have a natural tendency to love their own people. We see everybody who's different as the other. That's haram. That's wrong. That's false. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in a hadith that really struck me. There's 4 negative traits will continue within this ummah until the day of judgment. One of them is racism.
Are we tackling the racism within our own community?
We as Muslims should be the beacon of light to show the non-Muslims that look, racism is just rotten, it's nasty. The right way to go about it is actually feeling that I care about Palestine more than I care about myself.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Islamically Correct show, where we might not be politically correct, but we're definitely trying to be Islamically correct. Today's topic is going to be a sensitive one. We're going to be discussing Sudan and how it hasn't really been a topic of conversation in the last few years in comparison to, obviously, Gaza. We're going to also be talking about racism in Islam. Does it fit in or not? In April 2023 is when the conflict in Sudan started. We've seen the statistics show over 150,000 people have died because of the conflict. Over 12 million people displaced. And just in the locality, in that area, surrounding area, around 3.3 million people, refugees. Everyone has been mobilizing for Palestine. The attention from Muslims and non-Muslim both seems like it's disproportionate when we think of Gaza. I want you to imagine a black Sudanese Muslim and how he may feel after this time that the Ummah is really not looking after his people's affairs. And obviously he sees like maybe there's some inequality between the Arabs and the non-Arabs. But given that he's close to being Arab, right? Sudanese people are technically could be considered Arab. This is even coming from Muslims, right? The Muslims themselves, he's not feeling the attention. So Sheikh, I'm actually wondering, are we racist?
Before we actually answer this question directly, which I will, we need to understand the situation of people rallying and the reason why they're rallying for Palestine.
Okay.
If we look at the world media, most of it, whether it's Arab, Islamic, or Western, is covering Palestine more than Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's just basically a fact. Take for example Al Jazeera, 24/7 Palestine coverage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what does that mean? What I'm trying to say is basically the media shapes people's minds, preferences, and tastes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one, and also get them informed in a specific way. If you're speaking of Palestine every day basically showing killings and disaster and genocide in Palestine, you're rallying people toward that cause.
Right.
If you're not covering Sudan, people don't even know what's going on.
Right.
Like people actually, and I'm not saying this is an excuse at all, actually. Like as Muslims, the Rasul told us we're like a one body, that if one basically feels sick, the rest of the body is supposed to be, sleepless and in fever.
Yeah.
So it's not an excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse. Being politically uninformed is not an excuse. Actually, the Rasul says, "Man lam yatamma bi amri al-mu'minina, bi amri al-muslimina falaysa minhum." Meaning, basically, whoever doesn't care about the affairs of the Muslimin, he's not one of them.
But it seems here you're blaming the media, not the people. But in fact, the people are actually the ones that are also focused on Gaza.
It's true. Basically, most of the rallies is for Palestine, and there's a whole global movement for Palestine. There's also historic reasons for this, right? The question is it due to racism? So let's basically understand the situation. First of all, Palestine, unlike other disasters in the Muslim world, Sudan and non-Sudan, it's a holy land. It's the third holiest site. Masjid al-Aqsa it's a holy site for the Muslimin, so it's going to get a little bit more attention. There's going to be a little bit more emotions attached for desecrating one of the masajid, one of the holy sites of Islam.
But I remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that the blood of a Muslim is more, or the sanctity of the blood of a Muslim is more important, has more value than the Kaaba itself.
That's correct. It's correct. It is correct that basically the blood of a Muslim is more important than any of these holy sites. Correct.
Right.
I'm just explaining why people are rallying, not justifying.
Yeah. Okay.
So number one is the holy site. So people, naturally rally a little bit more to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying it's correct. We're just saying why.
Okay.
The second thing is that the issue in Palestine and the genocide in Palestine and the ethnic cleansing in Palestine and the occupation in Palestine has been for 100 years.
Okay.
Right? See, the terrorist militias like the Haganah and so forth have been there in I think 1920s, 1930s. They're slaughtering people, and driving people out of their houses and
Right.
homes and cities and villages.
Yeah.
Like the massacre of Deir Yassin is very popular, right? So
Mm.
so it's been 100 years of constant suffering. It's never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there's any time we're like, okay, now there's things are settled. No, every year, every month, every week, there's some struggle
Mm-hmm.
for these people. So it's been 100 years.
So it carries more significance because of the time.
If somebody's been suffering for 100 years, it doesn't equal a person who's been suffering for, let's say, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years. Doesn't matter, right?
Right.
So it's a bigger impact. And because maybe it's been there for 100 years, there's a little bit more awareness about it. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Some people really don't even know what's happening in Sudan. You speak to some Muslims, like, what do you mean? What's happening in Sudan? Where's Sudan?
100%.
So, but there's a third reason too. Don't forget, in the issue of Palestine, there's an occupation, and there's let's say there's a foreign enemy outside the people, right? That's basically like attacking this specific population.
Yes.
So it's not like Palestinians on Palestinians. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
In Sudan, it's a civil war, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a war it's internal to Sudan. It's not like somebody occupied Sudan. It's not like Chad came in or like Egypt came in, occupied them, or like or the British came in to occupy Sudan and they're slaughtering people. It's Sudanese within Sudanese. I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just trying to tell you, when there's occupation and when there's like basically a foreign country.
Yeah, like a foreign enemy.
A foreign enemy, whatever it is, comes in and kills some people. People feel a little bit more, maybe emotions. Again, so there's reasons that has nothing to do with racism, right?
So
now, but that is not answering your question. Is there racism or are we racist? But
yeah, because
I'm just saying that people, when they have more emotions displayed for the issue of the issue of Palestine, there's many real reasons
for why they feel
that has nothing to do with racism. Correct ones or incorrect ones.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so I can see, like, when you say internal conflict versus external threat, I can understand that. At the same time, I would say this is a small example. Like the last few years of Sudan not being really talked about, while there's this, the crisis in Palestine as well. It's just an example of a bigger issue. That's what I'm trying to say here. The bigger issue is this is not the first time something happens in Africa. Probably not the last time, but it seems like Black, Muslims and non-Muslims are suffering in silence usually. So then going back to the piece of racism, right? Are we actually racist? Despite you're saying there are some other reasons that may be valid or invalid. That's not the conversation here. Are we actually? Is there some sort of racism?
Yeah. So let's go back to this question. So the answer is depends, right? Are we racist as Muslims? No.
Well, there are Muslims that are racist.
But that's what I'm trying to differentiate, right?
Okay.
Because you're asking about the we. The we is the Ummah of Islam, and what defines us is Islam itself. So if Islam is a racist religion, then we become racist as a natural consequence.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And if Islam is not racist, there might be some who break the law and then are racist.
Got it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's tackle it one step at a time. Are we as Muslims racist because our deen teaches us to be racist? And the answer is definitely no. I mean, racism, when Islam came about in the early 7th century, was rampant, right? So everywhere in Arabia, outside Arabia, Islam came and basically smashed racism once and for all. Rasul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran speaks about different ethnicities and races and nations and so forth, and says, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. That we've made you into different nations and tribes.
Yeah.
Right? And for what reason? For the reason of getting to know one another, because we human societies live together
to learn from each other's cultures and differences.
Not just about learning, but culture is basically relationships. You get to know somebody to have a relationship, business and this and that, at the national level, at a tribal level, at an individual level. So it's getting to know each other for the sake of all human benefit is the reason Allah is saying subhanahu wa ta'ala. And indeed, the issue of honor and dignity and status is only specified through the lens of righteousness and not the lens of skin color, ethnicity, language, wealth or whatever, gender or whatever it is.
This is the end of the ayah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. That basically the best amongst you are the ones who are most righteous.
Okay.
And righteousness in Islam has to do with human behavior.
Okay.
It's a decision. It's a choice. It has nothing to do with skin color. So Islam, there's zero racism in Islam from that perspective.
So then, can I ask you a question about a hadith?
Well, before we go there, I'll tell you another hadith before I ask him about your hadith.
Okay.
Which is the Rasulullah in Hajjat al-Wada' in the last sermon, or his farewell sermon in the only Hajj he did, alayhi salatu wassalam, which is the Hajj before his death.
Yeah.
He clearly spoke about racism.
Mm-hmm.
He says all of you are from Adam, and Adam is from dirt or dust
from the earth.
And yeah, exactly. And there's no privilege for an Arab over non-Arabs. And that's crazy, by the way. In the Arab tribal society of the 7th century, that's literally revolutionary. And there's no privilege for non-Arabs over Arabs. And there's no privilege over for the whites over the blacks. And there's no privilege of the blacks over the whites. You see what I'm saying? And then he quotes the same ayah I just quoted, which is that the best of you is the one who is more righteous. So Islam already eliminated from day one the issue of race.
Okay, so you're saying that, obviously you're bringing up examples here, and I've brought up one, and you've spoken about it, that Islam is not racist. Actually, it's anti-racism.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only that. The Rasulullah basically says, "Utrukuha fa innaha muntina."
What is that?
Exactly. Leave it. It means basically this is tribalism and racism and nationalism. Leave all this kind of ethnic, race-based stereotypes and prejudice, because it is rotten. So it's so bad. It's something that's rot. Is rotten, not just bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Something could be bad, but not rotten. It's bad and rotten. That's how bad it is. So, it quashes. And this came in an incident where basically the Sahaba showed, racist, tribal tendencies against each other.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it happened in Yathrib.
Okay.
While the Rasul was living with them in Mecca. So the Muhajirin, basically, there was a little kind of friction. And the Muhajirin came and called the Muhajirin, and the Ansar called the Ansar, and they wanted to smack each other.
You mean when the Prophet was living in Medina with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Rasul was so angry when he heard it. He came, his face was red. He says, أبي دعوة الجاهلية وأنا بين أظهركم, meaning basically, are you guys calling for jahiliyyah? Called jahiliyyah. And while I'm still alive between you. So subhanallah, it's
that's crazy. Subhanallah, you never hear these stories, because from what we hear, when the Muhajirin did hijrah, the Ansar took them in, they helped them out, and everything was like fairy tale story, which was beautiful to hear. But then there was these situations as well, you're saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Crazy, subhanallah. It's like real life.
I mean, there's other situations basically where one Sahabi, very known Sahabi, usually we don't like to say his name just to kind of keep him, but it's Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, radiallahu anhu, one of the most known Sahaba. So he had a little kind of tension with, or a little fight, whatever it is, with Bilal bin Rabah, which is another super famous Sahabi, right? So Bilal was African, and Abu Dharr was an Arab. So he got angry with him. He called him, oh son of a black lady. So he alluded to his blackness. So that he crossed the line, basically.
So did the Prophet say anything?
Oh yeah, so Bilal went to the Rasul and told him, like, this is what I was called by Abu Dharr. Rasul was so angry, he called Abu Dharr in front of everybody, because it happened in public, so you can correct it in public. He's like, what did you just say? He says, إنك امرؤ فيك جاهلية, meaning because you're a person who still have jahiliyyah in your heart.
And that's like pre-Islamic, that's like ignorance.
Oh, yeah. Jahiliyyah means basically definitely pre-Islamic ignorance. And nationalism and tribalism and racism, all this is a form of what we, at least in the Islamic civilization, see as from the past, the prejudice of the past, the rotten values of the past, right? So we as Muslims look down on racism.
That's crazy how it came back. Like, it's crazy how that, at least after Islam taking that away, or at least advocating against it, that's coming back into society. But anyways, back to the story. You were saying Abu Dhar said that, and then the Prophet ﷺ corrected him in public.
Yeah, so Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, again, being a Sahabi, right? Like people slip. I'm not putting excuse for him. So he immediately basically came down and put his head on the floor at the feet of Bilal and told him to step on his head in front of everybody.
Oh man, he was probably so ashamed. Like subhanallah, he's probably like so.
So
He
Bilal
felt
and
so
Rabah,
bad.
definitely. So Bilal and Rabah, out of his love, because they loved each other, he's a Sahaba.
Yeah.
So he came down and kissed his head.
Allahu Akbar.
And they
Okay.
kind of held each other and so
Allahu
forth.
Akbar.
Yeah. It's
like
very
people-
emotional,
People make mistakes. Subhanallah.
People make mistakes. But as you can see, the Rasul didn't allow it. Like he was 100% stern.
Yeah.
Like it's not like as if he just gave him any chance. No, he called him out. He's like, you have jahiliyyah in you right there and then in front of everybody. Racism is not allowed. It's not tolerated in Islam. Period.
Allahu Akbar. It's a powerful story. I mean, like first, like we don't hear these stories often.
Yeah. Now the question comes now: are we racist?
Yeah,
That's the biggest.
That's what I was saying.
That's
It
the
came
$1 million
back despite-
question that you asked me from the beginning of the episode. Well, see again, like this, can we generalize? No. Is there more racism today? Sadly, yes. Right?
Yeah.
Like sadly, for example, different Arabs look down upon other Arabs. Arabs look down upon non-Arabs. Non-Arabs look down upon Arabs. Even like basically people from within the same country. The people of the urbanized cities look down upon the countryside. Because in the countryside, the people still living a little bit more. A simple life, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
And so, astaghfirullah, wallahi, this is lots of arrogance. We have lots of arrogance, and people create excuses of why to try to pump their own ego. This is what it is.
Let me ask you this: the whites have a white Jesus, the blacks have a black Jesus, the Korean have a Korean Jesus, the Persians have a Persian Ali. I don't know if you've seen pictures. Every single racial group has a tendency of glorifying their own people over everyone else. So are you saying that we human beings have a natural or an inevitable natural tendency that we can't really like steer away from? Like it'll always be there?
The paradigm that a person believes in, the paradigm about life, is what makes you either a racist or a non-racist. If people understand Islam really ideologically, and they see it from a lens of righteousness, khalas, they see a Muslim, black, white, Asian, brown, Latino, Arab, that doesn't really matter. Because you care about the character. When we understand that basically what elevates a human being is the ideas that he holds in his mind, which shapes his behavior, right? And the value system that he or she have adopted, and that's what we really care about. We stop seeing black and white. We just see a Muslim, a brother, a sister. But when a person did not digest the Islamic idea, the Islamic central idea, the Islamic aqidah, sadly, especially on an intellectual level, most of us basically believe in Islam emotionally. You see what I'm saying? When we believe in things emotionally, other emotional beliefs also come into our hearts.
Right.
For example, people have a natural tendency to love their own people. We're familiar with our cuisine, our own culture, language, jokes. We look like each other.
Yeah.
That's what's familiar.
Yeah.
So we see everybody who's different as the other. That's haram.
SubhanAllah.
That's wrong.
How do we get away from that? Like if I see somebody that looks like my father being abused or something, if he looks like my father, it's just all of a sudden changes my whole sentiment. It's
No, that's not correct.
I'm pulled towards
That's not correct.
It's hard to like. How do you work on that?
You should have the same, let's say, emotional response to any injustice. Your people and other people, Muslims and non-Muslims. If I see, what I'm saying? That's how a Muslim works. A Muslim always sees in the lens of justice that Islam have built in his own heart and mind. You see what I'm saying? We don't see black and white. We don't see Arab, non-Arabs. We as Muslims see just Muslims, and that's it. And And non-Muslims, we see them also as also humans
I was
from our
about to say, yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. What about non-Muslims?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, we see the Muslims as brothers and sisters. We see the non-Muslims basically as as people that we care about, the people that we should always treat with justice, right? But yeah, they're different, right? They're different because the minute the human being bases his, let's say, culture on intellectual ideas, then racism goes away, tribalism goes away, ethnic lines goes away. Even the idea of a nation state is just a preposterous idea. I mean, literally, you need to understand. Europe came about with the human rights and built it within a nation state. It's supposed to be a nation state. That's why today the French, do they accept the non-white French? No, no, definitely no. Does the German accept basically the post-Nazi Germany? It's supposed to be all about freedoms and the, international law. No. Does the British? No. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why? Because a nation state by definition has racism in it. It might not be codified in the Constitution, right? Even maybe the Constitution might say we secure the right of minorities and blah blah blah, and everybody's created equal. Gibberish. The reality of the nation state is that it's a racist state. Even if the government is not racist, the people are racist. But usually the government is racist because the government is from the people. But in Islam, yeah, the state should never be racist. You see what I'm saying? And the people of the state should not be racist. And if there's racist individuals, Muslims who are leading the state, the Muslim Ummah together, the collection of the Muslimin, should resist that and then, tone them down. So that's what Islam is all about. The only problem now, my dear friend, is that the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in a hadith that really struck me when I read it a long time ago, that there's 4 khisal, there's 4 traits that this Ummah, 4 negative traits, sadly, will continue within this Ummah until the Day of Judgment.
What are they?
One of them is racism.
No way. So it's not like something we can fully abolish. It'll always linger.
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
So is that really right? That really I still remember subhanallah the feelings when I read that hadith a long time ago, and I was so saddened by it. I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
I spent all my life fighting racism and so forth. Can I be undone fully? My God.
Can somebody take that hadith and be like, well, what's the point?
No. So I had to understand it definitely, and this was a long time ago. But alhamdulillah, when the more I understand, the more I learn, the more I grow. No, so what the hadith is saying is basically, sure, it will continue to linger, but there's ups and downs. You can minimize it until it almost vanishes. Okay, but it'll pop up again in the bad cycle. So we will continue to push for us to live in the good cycle, where racism is not tolerable, that racism is a taboo, that Muslims should love each other for their deen in Islam, and should care about non-Muslims because of Islam, because they care about justice for everybody. That's a better place for everybody.
100%. And so we often think of this fight as of an external thing. Basically, we're there to fight racism outside, and there's always perpetrators, that try to bring it back up. Just like you said, nationalism. You'll always see, especially right now, it's so relevant. Right now, it's so relevant because you'll see a lot of white nationalists or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, get out of our country, go back to your country, immigrants, and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of focus is on Muslims.
Yeah.
So we constantly think of racism as an external thing that we need to fight. But are we tackling the racism within our own community, within Islam, within Muslims? Not Islam, but within
I don't
Muslims?
think so. I think sadly most of us are not pushing back on racism. It is everywhere. I'm not saying we're a racist people in general, but there is lots of racism still exists. And don't forget, we are living the downturn. It's not like we're living the upturn.
Yeah.
But definitely look at white supremacy. It's everywhere. We as Muslims should be the beacon of light to show the non-Muslims that look, racism is just rotten. It's nasty. You know what I'm saying? We're not created to just basically maintain a specific skin color or specific, whatever genetic makeup. All genes are created by God. So, and we should mean it.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely a lot to work on. Alhamdulillah. So now I want to give you a more practical example. Okay, a lot of Black Muslims and non-Muslims as well, they obviously see this clear selective outrage, and it affects them. Now the question is, how should Black Muslims reconcile or go about this in the Islamically correct way?
I mean, like as I said, like seriously, I don't believe the Ummah like cares less about Sudan than Palestine. It's just at the end of the day, maybe just emotions takes a little bit more there, just as we said earlier. But they really care. They care. Every Muslim life is equal, and every Muslim life is worthy. Now, those who basically see that if they feel that they're not being cared for as much, the right way to deal with it from an Islamic perspective, let's assume it's true, and the Muslims care about Palestine more than Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
The right way to go about it is actually feeling that I care about Palestine more than I care about myself.
Mm.
I care about my brothers and sisters in Palestine than I care about my own people.
What do you mean?
It's hard to swallow, but basically, this is when a Muslim becomes super selfless. I'll give you an example from the
Okay.
from the Sahaba's time.
Okay.
One of the battles, the Muslims got, some of them got injured, and when they get injured, they're almost dying. They feel thirsty. So after the battle, people were just going checking they're injured and so forth, and then a voice was saying, "Water, water." So one of the Sahaba goes and tries to give him water, and then before he gives him the water, they hear another person saying, "Water, water." He says, "Go to my brother. He might need it more than me."
Mm.
And he insists. So the guy with the water goes to the second person.
Mm.
He goes to the second person, and then when he tries to give him the water, they hear a third voice, "Water, water."
Mm.
And that second Muslim says the same thing the first one's like, "Go to my brother, because he might need it more than me," and insists. So the guy's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go there."
Yeah.
By the time he gets to the third guy and tries to get them the water, he dies.
Mm.
And then he runs back to the second guy. He tries to give him some water. By the time he's drunk, he dies. And then he's rushed to the first one. By the time he gets to the first one, he dies.
Wow.
And this is a true story, where basically people really care. Like Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said something very important in relation to this.
Mm.
لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحبه لنفسه.
Mm.
None of you will truly believe until they love for their brother what they love for themselves.
Mm.
The Imam al-Nawawi talks about this hadith and comments and makes a comment that basically, to be honest, like I was so shook when I read it a long time ago. It's like this is the basis of Iman, the basic of Iman, the minimum Iman of loving your brother like you love yourself. That's the basic.
Mm.
Yeah, so Imam Nawawi says basically that the highest level of Iman, or the more complete Iman, is to love your brother more than you love yourself.
Mm.
SubhanAllah. So that's why basically right now, like let's assume, because nobody knows in the heart, and there's how can you make a collective generalized conclusion that Muslims generally look down upon the blacks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not true.
Well,
Right?
I guess
Some
yeah.
might, but I'm saying, and let's say basically if it's true, you
Mhm.
love for your brother what you love for yourself and more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's a better way forward, really, from a perspective. That being said, I'm not okay with any racism.
Yeah.
So when we see a person who is basically, let's say, differentiating between black Muslims and non-black Muslims, we should definitely stand in his face,
Mm-hmm.
call him out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's racist and that's haram.
Mm.
And we should never let it, go. See, part of the biggest problems we have in the community, we see the haram everywhere. We see ghiba, we just turn a blind eye.
Mm-hmm.
We see gossip, we see slander, we see racism, we see all types of oppression within our communities, and we
don't say nothing.
we just keep moving.
Mm.
We just keep cruising, as we say.
It's gotten normal. It's become normal.
But that's how haram gets normalized. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that basically we should never ever allow racism. Period. And and that's really it. That's the main thing is that.
So it's a hard pill to swallow because they are suffering in silence, and then now we're telling them you should want for your brother what you want for yourself. And deep down, that's very deep. If you can do it, it's very hard. But that's like obviously, like this is when you start tasting the fruits of Iman, like you said. But then the question really is, are we even doing that ourselves? Are we wanting for our brothers what we want for ourselves? Why is the focus now when it comes to the advocacy and the activism? Why is the focus always usually towards the Arabs and not,
No, but look, I'm telling you, like
or at
it's,
least,
it's not acceptable. We should save Sudan and the Sudanese like we should save the Palestine and the Palestinians, like we should save the Kashmir and the Kashmiris and the Turkistanis and East Turkestan. And we should, as an ummah, move and mobilize. That's why the I3 Institute, one of our core mission is to unify this ummah. Because with unification comes
address all
strength,
these issues.
and with strength we can address all these issues.
Got it.
So no, it's not okay for what's happening in Sudan. We should be outraged with what's happening with Sudan. We should be speaking up against what's happening in Sudan. We should be now not just only emotional, just like go and protest and just yell, even though we should do that. But we should also basically pursue the right solution, which is the unification of the ummah, the mobilization of the people who have the ability to make change in the ummah. The power brokers, when we're speaking specifically, the elites in this ummah need to make a move. And we need to guide them. Lots of them are lost. Lots of them basically are indulged into the dunya because power corrupts. Fine. Well, are we doing da'wah to them? Are we basically helping them understand, realize their deen? Are we helping them to realize that the akhirah is coming and their death is coming and they need to change their behavior? Are we working hard to build a better, stronger countries, stronger nations, better economies, better technologies, better advanced, scientific centers and university systems? And we're not doing any of that. You see what I'm saying? So definitely the Muslim world is filled with calamities, Sudan and non-Sudan.
Right. And that, I think,
and our stance towards it is equal.
Okay, so with all that being said, with the whites demonizing them, the Arabs alienating them, where are they supposed to go? The problem is they have pain points that certain movements address, like BLM, like Black Israelites, Nation of Islam. They usually are attractive because of these same pain points. But do these movements truly align with Islamic principles, or do they risk turning into a different form of asabiya, like tribalism?
Well, forget about these movements, actually, because these movements are nationalistic. So it's actually black nationalism, right? So the reason, basically, some of our Muslim black brothers and sisters, they feel a home within these movements because they're calling for justice for their societies. And as Muslimin, we became so secularized. Islam for us is just basically prayers and fast, right? Like everybody tells you that. All of the mashayikh that are super popular tell you just focus on yourself, pray, fast, give zakah, volunteer here a little bit.
Save yourself from the hellfire, yeah.
So we already we have, as an ummah, we've been secularized. We were told to not care about anybody. You see what I'm saying? And that's it. When basically people need care, and they're not finding it with us as Muslims, they're Muslim brothers and sisters. We're supposed to be a family, right?
Right.
They go to somebody who cares, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it is. We're losing our Muslim brothers and sisters of all types. We're losing our sisters to the feminists. We're losing our brothers to the red pill. We're losing our black brothers and sisters to the BLM. We're losing everybody to everybody. And that's the problem when Islam is not an ideology. It's not basically a cause. It's not a mission. Islam is supposed to be a cause, a mission for life. It's supposed to be all about justice for everybody. Well, what is Islam? Somebody asks you, what's Islam? Is it peace? You haven't even fine. Islam is peace. But bro, how are you going to get peace? No justice, no peace. That's how it works, basically. So Islam is about justice. And that justice, when it's enacted, will give you peace. I'm not saying Islam is not peace. Islam would lead to peace. But Islam is not peace. Islam is justice. The justice will lead to peace.
Yeah.
And the sense of justice and care is what we're missing. Because, again, we made Islam just a religion. Just go pray and that's it. Instead of caring about each other, about caring about one another, about basically standing up for the oppressed and the poor and the homeless, for the people of all types who are being oppressed across the world. It didn't become a cause and it doesn't become a mission. So these brothers and sisters, especially the youngsters, they found the cause somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? So that's our biggest problem, really, and that's why if people feel disenfranchised, whether they're black or women or this or that, well, because they are, because the Islam that is today, that's that's mainstream is the Islam of just praying and fasting. The Islam is like care about yourself. Astaghfirullah. What kind of Islam is? That's a contradiction.
And then culture is dominant in society, basically.
Well, that just adds basic more spices to the recipe.
That's the issue. Yeah. So you're the call then, the way that Black Muslims can channel.
We as Muslims are supposed to basically change how we view Islam and care about the causes for women's rights, for Black people's rights, and so forth.
Yeah.
Not just here in our communities, but across the world.
So then that's what the call is basically then to tell Black Muslims that this is what they should be doing. They should be embodying
It's
their
not about
identity.
them, it's about us. It's our responsibility. When we embody Islam as scholars, as activists, as community leaders, the Islam that cares, the Islam that's holistic, the Islam that has a global vision, the Islam that has a global justice for everybody, universal justice for everybody. That's that. When we present this Islam, they'll buy it because it's the truth, not because it's like attractive or whatever it is. They're not finding what they're looking for in Islam, even though it's inherent. Islam is all about justice.
So then, by understanding Islam holistically, then we can reconcile with the issues, and we can really be those change makers in society to bring back Islam, the true Islam. Alhamdulillah. And so I benefited a lot from today's episode. I hope you guys benefited too. Please like, subscribe, share with your family and friends, and let us know what you think of today's episode in the comments. If you do want to be a hero, a change maker in society, definitely sign up for the Muslim Blueprint program. The link will be in the bio, inshallah, and we'll see you at the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.